Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the Eritrean invasion of the Tigray region in the civil war, the ongoing civil war in the former state of Ethiopia. We'll start today, as normally, in the western part of the area of operations, what I'm calling the B-30 attack route. After we have seen B loyalist forces and for the most part Eritrean forces start to consolidate its control in and around Shire, it does appear again, as we had talked about yesterday, that they are now attempting to move from west to east along the B-30 highway towards the town of Selika, this town right here. As I had mentioned before in previous videos, the big challenge for the Eritrean army, not only in terms of logistics and maintaining the supply route running from Shire all the way to the Eritrean border, and then obviously from Shire westwards towards Ahmor as well. These are fairly vast areas of land, and then further, if you look from the north to the south direction, the B loyalist forces have not yet created the environment where they are able to move along the B-30 highway from the south all the way towards Shire. Much of this area is still under Tigrayan Defense Forces control, especially areas to the north of the Tekezi River in this locale here. So we suspect that in all likelihood areas of south of Amba Madre and quite even possibly certain areas north of May Samre are under the control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces continually, specifically areas to the east and west of this main road. But again, it does appear that the Eritrean army is attempting to consolidate its control, attempting to conduct operations to secure its flanks, its southern flanks, its northern flanks. Again, it's in a very inhospitable environment in terms of the amount of Tigrayan Defense Forces that are still really, for all intents and purposes, surrounding this force. And what I mean by that is the Eritrean army, the B loyalist forces, may control some of these main road networks leading to Shire, but they don't control the areas to the south and north, east and west of these road networks, specifically the B-30 and the road that connects Shire to the Eritrean border, running up through Adidaro and then further north. So yes, the Eritrean military, the B loyalist forces supporting the Eritrean military, do control and have the ability to move down these road networks, but just off to the east, to the west, south, north, again, is controlled by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, and that is what's making this operation for the Eritrean military and the B loyalist forces very, very risky, and they're very apprehensive right now about moving or continuing to move up the B-30 highway towards Axum. There's also a question of unity of command as well. You are seeing a hodgepodge of forces. Obviously, you have the B loyalist forces. More forces have been flown in to Shire. We have reports that elements of the B loyalist Republican Guard and further commando forces have been flown in to Shire and are continuing to assist the Eritrean military in its endeavors. At the same time, it's a very interesting issue that is coming up in terms of who is funding this operation. We have heard now multiple reports that in some cases, well, we'll just say in most cases, that Isaias Afwerki is quite literally counting every bullet that is being fired and is attempting to charge the the ENDF, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, for every round, every expenditure of munitions that it is using in this conflict, and is basically looking for the Abiy loyalist forces, the former state of Ethiopia, to pay for this operation. Besides being a inherently violent individual with a rampaging temper, it is also reported that Isaias Afwerki is quite literally very much a tightwad. So interesting backstory to kind of what's happening with that aspect of it. But again, it looks like the Eritrean military, the Abiy loyalist military, is attempting to move on Seleka now, this locale. There were some earlier reports of fighting outside of Axum. We don't believe that is the case. We do not believe that the Eritrean army has moved past Seleka, has moved past Wikro. And again, they're trying to figure out a way that as they move down the B30, how are they going to keep their supply lines open that are very much at risk by counterattack of the Tigrayan Defense Forces, especially north of the B30 and south of the B30. Again, all of this area, south of the B30, running all the way to the Amharan border down here to the south, also known as the Tenbian region, is under the control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Even during the fairly successful earlier invasion that took place in late 2020 and went on until the middle of 2021, before Operation Alula was launched by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, even then, the Abiy loyalist forces, the Eritrean army, and both of those forces made attempts to enter the Tenbian region and these areas in this area here. Kola Tenbian, and just all these areas, this vast mountainous area that runs south of the B30 and west of the A2. And I guess we would also call it east of the B30 in this area as well. So again, as they continue to move down the B30, Seleka, Wikro, Axum, ultimately Adwa, I believe at this point they would like to wait until the Eritrean army, would like to wait until they have a breakthrough near Rama, and are then able to press down from the Rama area of operations down this highway and then attack Adwa eventually in a multi-prong attack, both west to east and north to south. But they're not at that ability yet. They're still trying to figure out a way to move down the B30 without risking its logistical lines. Because again, unlike the 2020 invasion, late 2020, going into 2021, they weren't facing as many Tigrayan Defense Force members as they are now. You have to remember during the earlier invasion, where they moved fairly rapidly into the Tigray region, the Tigrayan Defense Forces at the time were less than 10,000 personnel, spread out all across the Tigray region. Right now, we're looking at a force that's in excess of 200,000 personnel that have been fully mobilized, and I can only expect that further mobilizations are taking place as we speak, which could further increase that force construct of the Tigrayan Defense Forces even greater. So again, it's going to be a very, very difficult endeavor for the Eritrean military, not just to move down the B30 highway and engage all these Tigrayan Defense Forces that are going to be on their flanks, north and southern flanks. But it's also going to be difficult for them to continue to hold territory. Shire, Adidaro, and all these areas in between are going to eventually become subjected to Tigray and Defense Forces counterattacks that are laying in wait, essentially. It looks like that the TDF is transitioning from more of a conventional defensive posture to what they did during the 2021 time period, and that is an industrial strength insurgency. So in some cases, they are going to allow the Eritrean military, the Abiy loyalist forces, to enter some of these areas. But at the same time, you can almost guarantee with certainty that they are planning large-scale operations as the Eritrean military continues to move deeper and deeper into the Tigray region. And again, they will start facing some of these logistical challenges. They will be facing a very hostile population. Again, if we look back to what occurred in 2020, late 2020, throughout the entirety of 2021, in which the Eritrean army raped and pillaged northern Tigray. At the same time, we saw the same sort of abuse by the Abiy loyalist forces as well in different locales throughout the Tigray region as well. So a great deal of animosity, and they are not going to be welcomed into the Tigray region. They're going to be very much facing a hostile population that does not want these people here. And at the same time, you have to wonder what the Tigrayan Defense Forces is planning next. Because believe you me, they're planning something. And it may not be manifesting itself right now. But as we observed in such operations as Alula, as we observe such operations in which the Tigrayan Defense Forces rapidly move south of Alamata, seized control of Dessie, Kombolcha, and at one point had the international community believing that they were going to march all the way to Addis Ababa. The capability is there. And that is what is concerning the Eritrean army, the Abiy loyalist army right now. They're being very, very cautious in their method of movement right now. Because again, they fully understand what happened in 2021. It was an absolute disaster for the Abiy loyalist army. And unfortunately for them, they're walking into the same type of environment. And it's probably going to repeat itself again. They may be moving slower in a manner to secure some areas, but ultimately, they are not moving into the Tenbian region. They are not moving into these areas east of the B30, south of the B30 in this area. Too risky, too difficult, and the ability to move outside of just using light infantry tactics is just something that is kind of outside that capability right now. So we'll continue to cover, monitor, report in terms of what's going on. We're watching the main effort here just east of Shire. We're also watching Rama and Zalambasa very closely as well. And we're also watching what is going to happen in the south. Is the Abiy loyalist forces going to continue to move up the A2 highway? Or are they going to pause here? Difficult to say at this point. But it is going to be a very long, very vicious struggle for both sides. This is a nasty conflict, and it's probably going to get even more nastier as the fighting continues. But again, that's what we have for today. We'll continue to monitor, report, and bring you more content for your consumption. Thanks for joining us today, and as always, have a good day.